Hello again, everyone. Today I am going to replace the hard drive and upgrade the memory in my Mac Mini here. I have myself a 1 terabyte solid state drive to replace the 1 terabyte mechanical that's in here that has failed or is very nearly failed, and 16 gigs of RAM to throw in as well. So upgrading it from the 4, which was fine for what I used it for, but while I'm in here I might as well do stuff. So first part of this is pretty simple. Mac Mini, the bottom just kind of pops off. Get your thumb in there and get the cover off, so, you know, nice and quick. I do have my preferred manual up in front of me because I do lose track of which screws and which screw sizes sometimes. So step 1 is pull the fan. And it takes Torx T6 to loosen those two up. Put them off the side here. I think these are actually supposed to be captive. I guess that didn't have to come all the way out. That's fine. Okay. Is it 3? Should only be 2. This should just be a standoff, but it's a screw. Okay. Oh, no, it is just a standoff. Silly me. We'll just put that right back. Now, I am doing this without the intention of pulling the actual logic board. A lot of times people prefer to pull the board when doing this, but I don't think it's necessary. There is enough space to do it without. So that's the fan out. It's actually not too bad considering this is a 2012 and I think this is the first time I've ever pulled the fan on it. So, and I thought I lost a screw. Just had it out of the way. So that's that. This is a little bit of a pain. So there's a cowling here. You gotta take this screw out, and then this whole thing rotates out kind of funny. There we go. You gotta pull this thing out. It kind of lifts up and twists out at the same time. And this is one of those that comes out okay and is much more of a pain to put back when it's done. Because it actually has to go under the lip. This edge here goes underneath the housing, and getting that in the right spot and getting this notch aligned is kind of a pain. Okay, we're making some progress. Separate these by steps so that I don't screw things up putting it back together. So now I need my T8. And you can use a hex driver on part of these too, but I don't have one of the right size, so. Actually, while I'm in here, there's a grit in this. Let's absorb some dust. I'm going to pull the RAM here at this stage too. I did once spill a little bit of beer on this machine. I don't think it actually got in. It shouldn't have gotten up in the front no matter what. So we'll pull the RAM at this juncture because we don't need it in anyway because we're going to replace it. Okay. So this is the antenna plate. This black bit is actually the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi antenna. So one of the things you got to do when you're pulling this out is not rip the cable out at the same time. Very gently extract it. And then we got to get the actual antenna coax hookup removed. There we go. And this here, with all the dust on it, is the hard drive. And that's what the antenna was covering. And like I say, a lot of people, there's two little holes here, and you can get a tool and you can pull this and pull the whole tray out. And if you want to put a second hard drive in, because there is a second connector here, if you're looking, this is the main connector currently plugged in, and next to it there is a connector for a second hard drive, and there is actually a hard drive bay essentially on the top surface underneath everything that you can put another drive in. You need a cable, but the shell that actually would hold everything there is already in it. So you have to remove everything, put drive in, get the cable in it, put everything back, but you can hook up a second drive, and there's really no reason not to do it, I suppose, if you have another drive. I don't have a second one handy at the moment, so I'm not going to. Now, this is the stage with that connector removed that a lot of people would pull the tray, and if it fights me too much, I may go that direction. But I should be able to just extract it from here, like that. And again, lots of dust. So, just to show you again, it's a little tough to see, but if you look on the inside, on the top there's two grommeted locations, and that's what the pegs from this hard drive were holding in. And below those two, if you can see it actually there, that's probably a better angle, there's the butts that two new grommets would go into to mount a hard drive. So if you get a kit for one of these to put the second hard drive in, it's generally the cable and the grommets and a set of screws to hold it all in. But that plastic in there is the tray that would let you do that. So, nice modular design. Again, this is a late 2012 model, so not exactly recent. And it had this Hitachi, I think it's a 1 terabyte, yeah, 1 terabyte Hitachi hard drive, which is sadly not functional, and really hasn't been for a while. I've just been not bothering to fix it, which I guess that's on me. So, a little bit of tape on here, which can be reused, helps hold everything together. I will try to remove it safely so that I can reuse it, but I'm not counting on it. You can just throw a little piece of, I don't know, vinyl tape probably would get, no, solid state, maybe it's fine. At this thing's age, this tape probably won't retain its sticky. But we'll stick it here off the side, just in case. We can neatly remove the cable. And we just got to remember that the lugs go on the data side of the SATA drive, not on the power side. So, get the other drive out. This is a little Seagate 1 terabyte solid state drive. Should fit fine in here. Same form factor. Might be a little thinner, but the screws will line it all up in the same place, so it won't really matter. And we're just gonna, geez, that's light. So fancy Barracuda 1 terabyte. I could have bought a bigger one, but I don't know. I don't really fill this thing up. I've had movies on it in the past, but at this point, you know, with everything streaming, I don't even care, and they're all on my desktop. If I really wanted to transfer them back over, I certainly could. I just don't care. So we got to take the couple of hard drive screws out. Now, I don't know if I mentioned these when I was taking the wiring cover off. These guys here, the antenna cover, those actually secure the hard drive. So you got two pegs, 1 and 2, and then on the top you can actually see the plastics all chewed away. Those two from the antenna plate actually hold it on there. So it is actually secured at all 4 corners. You just can't see it while you're working on it. By the time you can get to the hard drive, you don't actually have those corners secure anymore. So with that, I can thread those on here, and I'm not going to reapply any blue Loctite anything. I don't care. This thing will not vibrate, it will not wiggle screws out, and even if it did, You'd be wiggling them into rubber grommets. There's nowhere for these screws to go. It seems kind of silly. I'm sure they just all come from the factory with that Loctite. A little bit of nylon on them, but it is what it is. So again, ideally, we transfer this bit over. It's not the end of the world if you're doing this yourself and this is not adhesive enough to attach onto your new drive. This stuff, it's insulation, and it's more important on a typical mechanical drive where you've got all those traces and you might have stuff get up against it. If you've got a solid state like I have here, where it's all sealed up and there's no exposed circuitry, you know, there's nothing for it to contact. Nothing will be hurt by it. Helps if you, of course, line this all up correctly. Works way better if you line it up correctly. So you got to remember that you need, if you're putting the plastic back on, you want to be able to get to those screw holes still. So since I'm trying neatly, put the plastic back on, do my best to smooth it out. And we put the drive connector back in. I could be happier with that fit. Oh, no, it's just the way that's built. Okay. And try to tape it back on, but I bet this becomes a free-floating piece of plastic inside this computer. Now, this is one of the annoying bits. I hate, I use it sparingly, compressed air cans, because they're not compressed air. They're, well, they're not Freon, but they're refrigerants, and they're not great for the atmosphere. The ones I have are less bad, but that's it, they're less bad. Ideally, a real air compressor is a much better tool to have in these kind of situations. And when I worked in the shop, you know, we talked people into getting us a compressor to use so that we didn't have to fuss with air cans. And this is the part where, again, everybody would prefer to have the tray out. But, I think I got it. No, of course not. Almost got it. Do this upside down so it falls towards the holes. Ah, that is a fit. So, it's pegged in. It's like putting the transformer back together. It's pegged in. Just carefully push that down. And we do some reassembly. Get the antenna reconnected. Get it lined up. It's a coax pin. I don't know if you saw that before. That's a... come on, focus. Well, you'll have to take my word for it. It's a coax connector. It's a tiny little, 2 millimeters or so. Very small. And when you can get good access to these, they're not too bad. You kind of just line them up and push. When you don't have good access, you line them up as best you can, and you push with something else. If you can get your finger on top of it, they really just kind of go back together. Click. There we go, and that should, rotate. Tuck the cable back in. And again, you got to get this edge back through. That wasn't too bad. I've actually had that go a lot worse. And then we put some screws back in. Just going to take that one back out. Secure the other two first. Because I don't think that made it anyway. I can secure these. Something's not fitting right here. That sure felt like it was in before. Maybe it was only in on one side. Let's check all of this again. Yeah. I don't think that's securing. This is a pain. Nope, this is still not going back together right. Almost needs a spacer underneath it to hold it in place. Suspect I can do this with a spudger if I am careful. Ooh. Okay, that time I think I actually got a screw to make contact. Yep. Okay. Now these stick out because they are actually part of the locking mechanism for the jar lid that we took off right back at the beginning, which is why they look the way they do. But everything in here is such a tight tolerance that if you don't have it lined up perfectly, it doesn't matter. There we go. Nice little snap, too. Hope that wasn't anything. That's much better. I'll edit some of that down, I think. You can get it from there. Okay, so that's pane 1, and this is pane 2. Just trying to get this back in place. Okay, that actually wasn't too bad. I've definitely seen that go worse. We very carefully push the fan connector straight back down. Fan connector goes back down. Fan goes back over the standoff. Come on. I promise it does. There we go. And the T6 to resecure these. Make sure everything's seated. Okay. I forgot a screw. Oh, that's where it goes. Okay. Holds that cowling on. Yeah, see? So you stack your parts on top of each other and you get lost. And at this stage, we can go ahead and pop the RAM in. Could have done it anywhere along the line, but why do it early when we can do it here? And like a lot of these old stacked RAM slots, like on a laptop, you gotta fight it past the top one to get it in place for the bottom one. But it's not too tough. Okay. That should be it. Put the cookie jar lid back on. Line it up with a white spot. Twist, lock, done. So, if everything went right and I didn't break anything, there's a new hard drive in there and I've just got to reinstall the operating system. So, I'm going to do that and I'll let you know how it goes. So I don't have a good capture utility set up for this because I'm installing the operating system and I don't have a HDMI capture. But just to show it, if we go to disk utility, we can in fact see a Seagate Barracuda 1 terabyte. So that is there, and I'm running off a USB to install Catalina. So should work fine from here. Pick the drive, it'll tell me I have to format, which we know it's a blank drive. Oh, it's going to make me pre-format it. That's fine, I can do that. We're going to have an extended journaled, not encrypted, and I'm going to call it... We'll call it OS SSD. And done, mounted, good to go. No, not online help. And I do have a very old Time Machine backup of this computer I could restore quite a bit from just because I haven't done much with it. There's the drive, and we're installing. So, functional installation. It's an SSD, it'll go real fast. I cannot at the moment pull the About This Mac to see the RAM, but I have no doubt that that's working fine. RAM is trivial. So, successful installation of parts without pulling the logic board out. Makes it a little easier. You don't have to fiddle quite as much as I did. Anyway, have a good one, guys.